There were a few things that I learned this week in English 210, and I'm going to start with the first one, which was a huge realization that there is a lot that I have to learn, and there's going to be a lot of reading in this class, and I need to stay on top of that. But with that being said, I learned a lot from the Oliver book, and I actually didn't mind reading it. I thought it was interesting how she was very poetic with writing a textbook, so it was kind of confusing at times, but it wasn't boring to read, and it was very straightforward with here's the definition, this is what it means, here's an example, which really helps me to learn and is something um, that I appreciate. One thing that I learned, which I thought was very interesting, is that a vowel forms a perfect sound when uttered alone. And that's something I hadn't realized like before. I just thought those letters were vowels because they were vowels, and with that definition, I really realized like they're vowels for that purpose, which I found to be very interesting. The next thing that I found very interesting that I learned about was iambic pentameter, which was something that I did learn in high school, but not to this extent. I think it was something that she explained thoroughly and very well. Something that I think I'm going to struggle with still with iambic pentameter is figuring out the stresses, and that's one of the things on the homework that we have to do, so hopefully that'll help and I'll learn how to do that as well. The type of poem that I chose to do was an acrostic poem, and the definition of an acrostic poem is that the first, last, or other letters in a line spell out our particular word phrase. The first poem is an example of acrostic poem because all of the first letters spell out the word best friend, and then after that, there's a sentence or a phrase that goes along with being a best friend. So, for example, B is believe in each other, and the first letter is the same as best friend and begins the first line. This poem is an example of a acrostic poem because the letters spell teacher, and the letters are not necessarily the first letter in each word. They're in between, so like the definition said, there are other letters that can be used. So in trustworthy, it's the first letter. In encouraging, it's in the middle. And in positive, it's the last one. So this one shows basically all of the examples of how it is an acrostic poem. Something that I noticed about acrostic poems is that most of the time they're fairly simple and probably normally done by younger kids or as a way to remember something. So in my school, in elementary school, they used the word respect, and with each letter, it was something that had to do with respect, and it stuck with me all the way through high school as well. Finally, about my week in general, it was very tiring. I had a lot of reading to do. Our Tuesday field hockey practice, we had conditioning, which happened to be the same day as lift, where we did leg day, so my legs were very tired. Then we left this morning at 5 a.m. to come to New York City, and that's where I am now. We have 2 games, and I'm really excited because tomorrow we're going to Broadway, and then Saturday we get to explore, and it's going to be a lot of fun and should be very interesting.